Hello, friends. Welcome to this devotional by Tom Wright this morning. I'm David Fullen, the pastor of the Drakesboro United Methodist Church and the Yeargins Chapel United Methodist Church in Graham. It's my pleasure to welcome you here to this devotional time, and our author, Tom Wright, has provided some thoughtful words for us in the scriptures. I have lit the Christ candle. You can see it back behind me here. And I've got our devotional handy. It is for Thursday after Ash Wednesday. And so we are reading Matthew 3. But our focus today is on 3 verses 1 through 12. In those days, John the Baptist appeared. He was preaching in the Judean wilderness. "Repent," he was saying, "the kingdom of heaven is coming." John, you see, is the person spoken of by Isaiah the prophet when he said, "The voice of someone shouting in the desert, 'Prepare the route that the Lord will take. Straighten out his paths.'" John himself had clothing made from camel's hair and a leather belt around his waist. His food was locusts and wild honey. Jerusalem and all Judea and the whole area around the Jordan were going off to him. They were being baptized by him in the river Jordan, confessing their sins. Pardon me. They were being baptized by him in the river Jordan, confessing their sins. He saw several Pharisees and Sadducees coming to be baptized by him. "You brood of vipers," he said to them, "who warned you to escape from the coming wrath? You'd better prove your repentance by bearing the right sort of fruit. And you needn't start thinking to yourselves, 'We have Abraham as our father.' Let me tell you, God is quite capable of raising up children for Abraham from these stones. The axe is already taking aim at the root of the tree. Every tree that doesn't produce good fruit is to be cut down and thrown into the fire. I am baptizing you with water for repentance," John continued, "but the one who is coming behind me is more powerful than me. I'm not even worthy to carry his sandals. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and fire. He's got his shovel in his hand, ready to clear out his barn and gather all his corn into the granary. But he'll burn up the chaff with a fire that will never go out." And now here are Dr. Wright's thoughts. When a couple get married, there is so much to learn, not so much the immediate and obvious things, favorite foods, musical tastes, good ideas for holidays, and so on. There are deeper things that make each one of us mysterious and deeply special. The rich store of memories and mental associations, the older family history, stories told and retold, sorrows quietly aching in the background, tales of an exotic cousin here, a tragic uncle there, an aunt who wrote books, or a great-grandfather who was cheated in business. Such stories shape our imaginations. They condition our reactions to new situations. When you join someone else's family, it takes time to learn how all this works for them. Often, You can only make sense of what someone says or does up front if you get in touch with the older, deeper stories that shaped them from their earliest days. Matthew, writing his gospel, wants to help his readers to learn the great stories of the family into which they have come through their faith in Jesus Christ. Many of his readers were probably Jewish already. That made some things easier, others harder. He is telling the story of what happened within living memory. Here, the story of John the Baptist, getting people ready for Jesus, but he is also helping them to get in touch with the older, deeper stories of God's ancient people. Like all early Christian writers, Matthew is eager to explain how what has happened in and through Jesus is what the ancient stories had been pointing to all along. He's already begun to do this in the first 2 chapters. There's the great long family tree right at the start, of course. But there are also the times when he has pointed back to the ancient scriptures to explain the meaning of the events he's describing. Now he takes this to a new level. He picks up one of the most famous prophecies in the Old Testament and declares that it came true in and through John the Baptist. The prophecy in question summed up the longing and the praying of Israel over the previous 500 years. Israel had been overrun by foreign armies. The temple had been destroyed. God himself, they believed, had abandoned his people because of their wickedness and had left them to their fate. Even when the Jews returned from Babylon and rebuilt the temple, there was a lingering, uneasy sense that there was more to come, that all was not yet well. So they told the story like this: one day God will come back to rescue us. He'll come back and take charge of the whole world, and everything will be right at last. The God in heaven will be king of the earth. That's what we're waiting for. So when John the Baptist suddenly appeared down near the Jordan River, telling people that heaven was going to take charge on earth, that's what the kingdom of heaven means. It's not surprising that everyone set off to find out what was going on. John was plunging people into the Jordan. He was reenacting the far-off moment when the ancient Israelites first entered their promised land. This is it. This is what we've been waiting for. Sharp-eyed people then and later said, "This is the man the prophet spoke about. He is the voice in the wilderness, getting people ready for God to come back." If we grasp nothing more than this, Matthew would have done half his job. But there are 2 other things going on here which also shape the way he's going to tell the rest of his story. First, lots of people coming to John have to be warned not to take God for granted. They may be Abraham's children physically, but God is doing a new thing. He is reshaping Abraham's family. Sharp judgment on the one hand, an open invitation on the other. God is able to raise up children for Abraham from these stones. This isn't the way many of them had been telling the story. It must have come as a shock. Second, John kept telling people that he was preparing them for the arrival of someone else, someone who would carry out this judgment against those who took their position for granted, someone who would act in a much more dramatic way to bring the rule of heaven to bear on earth. This someone, we then discover, is Jesus himself. Everything that Matthew wants to say about Jesus must be understood as fulfilling this prophetic warning. Those of us today who find ourselves among Jesus' followers need to pay close attention to these ancient stories. They may be strange, but only if we learn how they will work. But only if we learn how they work will we understand what sort of family it is we now belong to. Here's our prayer for today. Gracious Lord, as your heavenly rule extends on earth, help us to know your story and live as your family. Amen. Thank you, friends, for joining us today. Please come again tomorrow. Our devotional will be available right after midnight. Thank you again. May God bless you and keep you until we meet again.